In a previous video, we took a look at combining or visually combining two different blocks with one common background image. That may seem like kind of a basic layout in Rise 360. It actually took some custom CSS using a theme component to achieve this effect. These are actually two different blocks, text block and then the numbered list block. And it gives us kind of this interesting kind of scroll effect with the background. The background is in a fixed location. And it works. And that was in a separate piece of code I showed you then on eLearning Hero. Someone mentioned microlearning, and I did not test it in microlearning. Microlearning, it's a very different kind of template compared to the regular Rise 360 courses. And when I started looking into it, I started noticing something weird going on with the backgrounds. But let's take a look. I actually have here. So I've got three different blocks. And this is just another numbered list text, and then another numbered list. And okay, I'm already in preview mode, but I noticed I'm trying to have all three of them share one background image. Much harder than you would think. And it's not a very efficient way to design. Of course, I had to upload the same image 3 different times. And when I export the course, it's saving them out as 3 different images, but I just want it to share the same image. And the background, I wanted to make the background a little darker. And as you can see, on each block, you have to first upload the image, and then set the background overlay a bit over and over again. It's kind of tedious. I'll show you what we have to go through to do that. And I'll change the image overlay. I had already uploaded the images, but if we go to image, edit, overlay, 50, and I forget what I used, maybe 70%. No? Maybe like 80. Looks like I was using 80. It's kind of hard to tell, but anyway, even when I hit preview, we can see. Come on. Oh, by the way, that's a different one. I'll show you how I did that one. So we have 3 different images, 3 different blocks, obviously 3 different images that they don't, I want them to, kind of tile seamlessly, or really just appear that it's one block. And the method that I gave out the code for does not work on the microlearning. So we had to adjust it a little bit. And what I did in this course, it is possible in microlearning. And I'll show you how I did it to this one. These are two separate blocks. Text block above the numbered list block. I'll show you what I did. I just used, similar to what we did in a previous lesson on the non-microlearning, I'm using this purple color. So if I go to Style, Custom, and then I'm just using this plum or purple color. And it's not part of my branding guidelines, so I know the only time I'm ever going to use this, I'm really just setting a styling hook for my CSS that's going to come back through and add my image. And it's not just the way I wrote the CSS, it's not displaying it in the admin edit mode. It only shows up in preview mode. So now that I've already set up the CSS, and I'll share the code with you. But what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to also apply it to these 3 blocks. So if I go to custom, find my purple color, it's right there. I'm going to keep going through custom purple, custom purple. Now, purple, like I said, it's not part of my branding, but what it does, it's the first set of linked blocks, and then here are my third, or my second set of my link blocks. These are my 3 link blocks. And I think it actually does, there was some talk about this in the e-learning heroes today. If you do use a background image, like I was previously, it seems to add padding around my my various blocks. It's a weird issue. I'm not totally sure how else to control that, but essentially what I've done, I've just removed the background image, and I'm just using my own custom theme component to add the image back in. These are still 3 separate blocks, but they look like one cohesive design. And this is especially good. Perhaps you had already shown your stakeholder a mock-up or a prototype, a storyboard, whatever you call your initial designs. You could very easily show your stakeholder for approval a microlearning workflow that has 2 or more blocks put together to achieve this layout with the numbered lists and regular text. And then when it comes time to build it out, it may not even be possible. So someone came up with the question, and it seems like a basic layout, but we actually have to use currently in Rise. You can't do this natively in the application, so we're just adding some custom CSS to do that. And if we look at the CSS for this, I'm using the Stylus browser add-on. It lets you preview all your custom CSS. I've got quite a bit here. Not all of them I'm actually using right now. Okay, I called this one Rise Microlink BG. So it's microlearning. We're linking the BGs. And it's very similar to the regular microlearning. What I'm doing, I'm hooking on to this RGB color code, because that's the purple. I'm only using it as a placeholder to add my image in. And there's something weird going on in Rise. It's actually using the element itself that has that purple background plus an adjacent div, which is weird. Normally we just style things, the parent element gets that background image or background color. It took me a second to figure out what's going on. So if I just comment that out, you see nothing's going on. That's the main element. But then we actually need both of these elements styled. Basically, there's one element on top. We're telling that to just be completely transparent. And we don't need that box shadow. But then the main element that has that color, we're just telling that to be my background image. which is externally hosted right now. Once I save this out in my completed theme, I would put this locally, usually within a folder that I call theme. So I'll share this code. Obviously, if you're implementing it, you're going to want to figure out a color code that you can use repetitively and swap in your own image. This one, again, it does use that plum purple color. That's one of the defaults in Rise 360.